What's up, y'all? Today I want to take a look at a video that I saw was popping up all over my newsfeed. It has to do with Lila Rose being on Dr. Phil's show. I just took a video that said this was the best segment, so I want to play them and react to them. I haven't seen the whole thing, but I love Lila. She's a really intelligent person, very articulate, very compassionate. I've had her on the show a couple of times before, so I'm going to link to those episodes below if after this short video you decide you want to learn more from her. Oh, by the way, I have another podcast. It's not just Pints with Aquinas. I have another podcast called Victory, which is a podcast that helps people find victory from pornography and the wounds it inflicts. That's the studio I'm in today, in case you were wondering what was happening. I'm having work done on the Pints with Aquinas studio. All right, let's see how this went down. Here we go.
What do you think? You don't think Nancy should have been able to have an abortion?
I mean, Nancy, my heart broke when I heard your story, because that's the worst thing any mom wants to hear, is that their baby is going to die. Their baby has a life-threatening illness. My husband and I, we had a miscarriage about 2 years ago. They were some of the darkest days of my life. And they were dark days because it was our child. You know, we knew this was a baby. And I think that's the fundamental point here, is that we're talking about a baby. We're talking about a human life. And the pro-life position is that all humans have human rights. And the first right is life, to not be killed. You know, from the moment of fertilization until natural death. And so, you know, Nancy, you deserve better. You deserve better health care. There's perinatal hospice, there's palliative care, so that your baby could die in the loving arms of their parents instead of at the abortionist tools.
Wow. Okay. I have a lot to learn from Lila. I bet you do as well. I think sometimes we fall into the trap of just being too aggressive when we're engaging with people who disagree with us. I think we assume that they've heard all of these arguments before and that they're just holding to an irrational and evil view because maybe they're irrational or evil. But, I mean, for the last how many decades have we been brainwashed by Hollywood and big tech into thinking that abortion is women's healthcare, and that it's a good thing? And I just love, I don't know Nancy's story, I didn't hear that bit, but I just love how empathetic Lila is being. I think it's so important, you know, like when we chat with somebody, that we really try to understand where they're coming from and acknowledge that. And she did that in such a beautiful way. It wasn't a forced way, you know, like, let me show you how I'm empathetic before I hit you with my logic bat. She pointed out, you know, that she had a miscarriage. And, you know, what's so tragic about a miscarriage? Well, it's because a human life, namely your own, you know, if you're the one who's had the miscarriage, has died. That's tragic. I love what she said there. And I think it's so good to get back to those basics. Like, the pro-life position is, you know, like, humans have inalienable rights that shouldn't be interfered with, and we should treat all humans equally. So well put.
Okay, I've got some questions for you about that, and we got to take a break, and then Ben has an important point to make. Coming up,
Is it just me, or did Ben look really uncomfortable when Lila was talking about the pro-life position? I don't know who he is, so.
Government dictate what a woman can do with her body?
Should the government, what did he say? Should the government dictate what a woman can do with her body? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it depends what you mean, right? I mean, the reason abortion is evil is that a woman uses her body to pay somebody to kill another innocent body. I mean, the law already stipulates that we can't do whatever we want with our bodies. I mean, I can swing my arm, perhaps, and the government can have nothing to say about that, but if I swing it and it contacts your face and I do it on purpose, well, all of a sudden we get a problem. So yes, the government should absolutely say what men and women do with their bodies in certain circumstances.
That's a big question. And when does life begin? You define that as at the point of fertilization, right?
Well, that's science. It's not my opinion. The science.
Oh, she's so terrific. Yeah, with science, that's like just a fact. So
is clear when human life begins at the moment of fertilization.
Well,
and
that's the
all
question.
humans have human rights, is our
That's
position.
the question I've got for you. We'll talk about all that when we come back.
she answered it for you.
There is nothing you could possibly say to justify that level of lack of empathy. And that's the problem I feel like in this country at the moment. We were founded on the lack of empathy, and we've just kept up with that tradition.
If
You have no empathy.
That's like a talking point, right? Like we were founded on a lack of empathy and we kept up with that tradition. It's like, that's a nice tweet, but it's not true and it's really unhelpful. And then she just said, before I cut her off, I think she said, you have no empathy. Look at this woman here. She seems very happy about that. You have no empathy? What is that? You have no empathy. Well, you have no empathy is an ad hominem attack, where you attack somebody's character instead of the argument they're making. And the reason that is fallacious is, even if Lila Rose was a terrible person who had no empathy and was a complete sociopath, it wouldn't follow at all that she's wrong. So let's see if this Sheila... By the way, someone pointed out when I say Sheila, that's demeaning. It's not. It's just I'm Australian. I say bloke. I say Sheila. This lovely young lady, if that's better. We'll see if she makes any actual argument.
Abortion is devastating to women's mental health. No one talks about that. The year after a woman has an abortion,
It's really like
the year after a woman
to have the child. What kind of trauma is
the
that?
trauma
that
is from the
on
rape.
Somebody?
The trauma is from the rape. The child's
see.
an innocent party there.
The child.
Oh, golly. Yeah, we'll get back to that. But that's a good point. I mean, these are difficult cases, and I hate when you see pro-lifers buckle under them. I don't know if we should call them pro-lifers. But yeah, like rape is a tragic, awful thing, and in my opinion, the person who commits the rape should be punished, and far more severely than we may be doing right now. Who shouldn't be punished is the innocent life that results from it. But sorry for interrupting. Let's see what she says. Here we go. Take a breath.
We don't take out
It's not there.
we should not take
Oh,
out
hang on.
generational
What?
sin
It's
on
not
a
there?
child.
Okay.
The trauma is from the rape. The child's an innocent party there.
The
And
child
we
isn't
don't
born
take out
yet. It's not there.
The child isn't born yet. He's not there. If he's not there, why do you have to kill him? Who's being killed in an abortion if no one's there? I don't mean to be snarky. I understand in a heated exchange it's difficult to be super rational like Lila is being, and God bless Lila. She's handling this like a champ, but that's just a false statement that should be pointed out.
We should not take out generational sin on a child to say there's generational sin and that dad was an abuser, so the child should be killed. That's not fair to the child.
We're talking about rights, and he just said a right has been taken away from us. And what is next?
I want to address that because our fundamental human right that we all share in this room is life. It's the first human right. Laws are meant to protect the weak. In a society, who's the weakest? Who's the weakest in the society? A child.
The poor.
They don't have a voice. They can't speak. A child in the room.
That's
or
the weak.
but
The
a
poor.
poor child
And we're
would be
gonna
the
keep
weakest.
them that way by
and a
making
child
them
with
have to raise
disability.
these
Listen,
kids.
whether you live 10 minutes or 10 years or 100 years, you're a human life, and you have the right to not be killed. And that's what the pro-life fight is all about. That's what we're fighting for, a culture of life where we provide real health care. You know, abortion is the intentional destruction of an innocent human life.
Doesn't a
We
woman
can
have
do
a right
better
to
than
choose
that.
that for
A right
herself?
to choose what? A right to choose
Doesn't
what?
a woman
What
have a
does an
right
abortion
to
do?
choose what happens to her body?
Yeah,
What's
say
in
it
her
though.
body?
You were wanting to say something right before we went to break.
Thank you,
Okay.
Dr. Phil. Two quick things, and I'm so glad we're having this conversation. The first
She's so delightful. Ah, God bless her.
thing is this. Abortion advocates have decided when life begins in their book. It's at birth. They say before birth, it's not a child, doesn't have human rights, can be killed at will for any reason, and then after birth, it magically becomes a human. That's not logical. That's not scientific. We know that human life begins before birth. It doesn't begin at birth. So that's the first thing. The second thing is a question for you, Christian, would be this. You know, the National Organization for Women, my understanding, your organization supports abortion up until the moment of birth.
I'm going to bet you $5 right now that they do not want to address that, and I bet you they'll sidestep it at any cost. Let's see.
For any reason, taxpayer funded. Is that your position?
Straightforward question. You support abortion for any reason up until the time of birth, taxpayer funded. Is that your position? That's a very fair question. She's not assuming things, even though she has done her research and therefore knows it. She's asking. I really am. Let's see what they say.
Well, we believe people have a right to choose.
Okay.
Up until the moment of birth, for any reason.
It's not for our organization or myself or anyone else or advocate to determine where they determine that point is for them and regarding the gestational age of when they seek an abortion care. So it's very important to point that out. And as for regarding funding sources, right now there is a Hyde Amendment that's in place, and the Hyde Amendment only provides Medicaid funding for abortions under extreme circumstances, incest, rape, and some very few medical issues where it's concerning for the life of woman or the fetus. It's a financial cost on the person who is choosing to move forward their planning and what they do. It is not covered a lot of times under federal funding. Taxpayers are not always paying for
Just to
But
clarify,
do
you
taxpayers sometimes pay for it?
it does. In California, it does.
Part of,
Absolutely
yeah,
it does.
depends on the state, but some states do have where they use their funds for their state.
But just to
cover.
clarify, this is a really important point. The abortion position, the position of now your organization, is abortion up until the moment of birth for any reason.
Can you imagine how quickly I would be banned from YouTube if I explained to you what an abortion looks like at 9 months? Feel free to look it up, but it's absolutely vulgar, barbaric, and disgusting.
It's an extraordinary position, and that's built on this idea of dehumanizing the child in the womb, which is what the abortion position has done. It's saying they're not a human, if they're conceived in violence, if they have a disability, if they're really sick, kill them. That's the abortion position. And the pro-life position is saying, treat them like a human being.
Let me correct
Treat
your
them with
position.
dignity.
She's so good, isn't she? It is really important to continually get back to what you're saying. Like, we should treat all human beings as if they were equal in dignity.
And now, our
Oh, sorry, let me
position
go
is
back.
to
Violence, if they have a disability, if they're really sick, kill them. That's the abortion position. And the pro-life position is saying, treat them like a human
Let
being.
me correct
Treat them
your
with
position.
dignity.
And now, our position is to keep abortion legal.
Through all 9 months of pregnancy, is that correct?
Our position is to keep abortion legal.
Yeah. All right, there you go. That is just a snippet of the conversation that took place on Dr. Phil between Lila Rose and those folks. You know, I just want to say, if you're watching right now and you've had an abortion, I pray that you know that mercy is available to you. There is nothing that we can do, no sins, no matter how criminal they are or how wretched they are, that the mercy of Jesus Christ cannot cover. And some of the most powerful advocates against abortion are those who have been lied to by Planned Parenthood and big tech, etc., and have gone ahead and had abortions. So just want to throw that out there. But God bless Lila. I'm going to put links to the videos I've done with her below if you want to learn more. Let me know what you thought of the entire interview or segment if you saw it. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe and that bell button. And that way, YouTube will be forced to let you know whenever we put out a new video. God bless. See ya.